which is neat to see. That group can go in a million different directions. I wanted to kind of keep the routine the same though,
right.
which is why I asked you about their quick write.
Yeah.
And Friday they can write about anything they want. That's just how we do Fridays. But I always give them a freebie if they don't know what to write about. It's like,
right.
how can I kind of tie this in without giving too much away? And of course, none of them write about the freebie today out of all days.
But one of them noticed it.
Yeah.
One of them said something like, I wonder if that's why she tried to do that.
But then I feel like that's the side that they took while I was reading. So I didn't know if I didn't say anything about that.
I know.
It
was interesting,
though. But then I was like, I wonder if I shouldn't have, like, what if I didn't say that? What would they have thought?
Yes.
Because my first period totally got the, oh, well, she was nice. And so the yarn was like, you know, because she was nice, it was, you know, never ending, kind of like a karma type deal with the Duke. But and they didn't, and I didn't want to ask too much and say, oh, well, what about, you know, the theme?
And lead it to them, right.
Like that. So, yeah, I was really impressed with how they did that. And I tried, because I don't know if I've done one since I observed Josh do it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I remember our conversation about just the language of the honor students are different than my group of kids. So I tried to use that language myself. And say, oh, well, if we build on what she said or going off of what he said.
Yep.
And one or two of them picked up on that. And they said, oh, well, kind of like she said, or something like that. I was like,
yes. No, and that's exactly what, when I was putting there, I was like, I didn't know if you were being intentional on your language, but I could tell you were working, like your questions were, can you follow up with that? Why? You know, and can you build on what, I noticed so-and-so said that, I can't remember what it was, but it seems like you guys have a similar thought, you know, and it was fun to watch your questioning.
Well, then I get, I'm not confused, but worried that I'm asking the same thing, which I guess is, like, in some spots, okay.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, why do you think that? Well, why do you think that?
Right,
I need to practice my different questions.
You'll build, exactly. You'll build those, but I thought you had a great start to it. I mean, I was just having fun sitting back, because they were making connections. They were...
and then at the end, when a couple of them mentioned, well, that book with the umbrellas, and I had no idea what I was like, what? And that's my chart.
Yeah. I know. And then you didn't even bring that up.
No,
and I was like...
I wasn't even thinking that myself.
No, heck no. Yeah, that's what the beauty of it was, is that you kept it open, and I felt like the more you kept it open, the more response you were getting.
For sure. But yeah, I was very shocked and impressed that it went that well.
Yeah. I thought you had good engagement.
That's probably one of my best ones, other than our
the one was cool. That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really neat. But let me ask you this, were you thinking about the language that you were using? And how do you think that it affected your students?
At first I did, I think, just because sometimes it just depends on the day whether I'm going to get a ton of participation out of them or nothing. And so I kind of wanted to, get on that right away. And so maybe if I try to get them to build off each other, that they'll participate a little bit more. So, and like at the beginning, I intentionally said, oh, well, and I used that language, like, well, you're connecting that to him or her or whatever. And then it just kind of happened because they already started saying it.
Yeah. No, it was cool. Because that was my thing. It was just like almost just celebrating, because you could just tell there was a difference than the first time you did it, Yeah. And it seemed like they flowed. At one point, you asked, at one point in there, I think it was your second stopping point, you said, make a prediction on what you think, or you said make a prediction or whatever. But then, because you had asked the first question of like, so what do you notice? What are you thinking? What are you doing? They didn't even go to prediction. They went to, and which created more thinking, you know, like it was almost like.
And in the past, I feel like, well, what are you thinking? And they tell me what they think is going to happen, because that's just what they do.
Yes. And then when you gave them like it was kind of a narrow question. They didn't need a narrow. They just went there anyway because you had asked those open-ended questions. And
well, and I said, I think in one of them, I said.
Because really, for that class.
What are you noticing? And then I didn't know. I wanted them to look at the pictures and see if they got anything, but I didn't want to like force them to go to the picture.
Right.
So that's why I said about the story, about the pictures, and kind of hope. And I think I'm pretty sure, was it in that group they picked up on being connected, or was that my first period? I don't remember.
I think it might have been your first period. I don't remember that. I mean, it could have happened, but I don't remember that.
I
didn't write it down as being part of the conversation. But so that was and this book, you know, Yarn, A Little Girl. It's interesting that they connected.
Yeah. What my fifth period, they took a whole different way too. They said, they got kind of the theme of the story, but they were stuck on them being connected, and then just the idea of knitting.
Oh yeah.
And they're asking Gail and I, well, do you know how to knit? And I want to learn how to knit. And how do you knit? And I'm like, okay. Let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of move on, but let's see. Well, and one of the lines of thinking that you kind of followed that I really liked, and I thought was very effective, was one of the girls like, I hate this ending. I didn't like that, right? And what I loved what you did is you took it right to that critique of, so tell me why you don't like it. You know, it wasn't, you didn't take any offense to not liking the book or anything like that, but then they followed on, and then people kept building on that. Well, no, I think it reminds me of the balloons.
Well, and that's, honestly, I struggled right there for a minute because I kind of was trying to wrap up the conversation, but then a couple people kept saying a couple things, and I said, well, I guess let's just keep talking about it then. That's fine. Because I wanted them to get all of their thoughts and things out, but I didn't know, that was like the first time that I've done it on my own, I think, other than, I guess, one. When we did one, it was a little bit more of a discussion, or a bigger discussion, but I wasn't sure how to wrap it up, or do I let them keep going and kind of wrap it up on their own? Because in the past, they've just kind of not had anything else to say.
We're done.
So it's been fine. I'm like, okay, great, let's move on.
Right.
But they kept going, which was fine.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't go too long. I mean, you were within that 20-minute range. You're looking 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I looked at the clock and I was like, past 10:30.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it from when you started to when you finished. But I thought, and I didn't know if you were intentional about that, but I was like, wow, your language changed so much from even one to that one.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think that, honestly, it was, I learned a lot from watching Josh do it as well, but I kind of was listening to the kids' language too.
Yes.
Because it's just a different group of kids, and they have a whole different, take on things and, skill level and all that stuff.
Right. So. Oh, cool. So, good. And I think your questions, you'll get more of those different ones on how, what evokes, like saying, so what are you thinking, or why do you think that? Those are great, but then you'll find things that kind of, and you started to do it just saying, well, let's build off it. Well, you guys kind of sound like you're alike, and that seemed to stoke more and more conversation. Loved it. So what's your next one? What are you thinking about next?
I don't know. I'm actually planning on going to the library.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, and I want to check some of the ones out that
Yeah, I just
Lisa has. Or have we seen those? Have you had those around? Or
a lot
some
of them are
them?
ones that people have asked me for,
Okay.
but there's probably some new ones in
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's probably
yeah, I have
several
this
new
one.
ones.
Actually, I need to write this one up on my thing. I did it right.
Oh, the heart. Ooh.
Yeah. I don't know if this one I didn't. I mean, I gave them just a small bit of background information. So they said,
Yeah.
looking at this cover, what do you think it's about? And they said, oh, well, he's in pajamas. And I think they maybe took that from the boy in the striped pajamas.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure. He's sad, you know, maybe he's, I think they might have brought up jail. So I kind of said, okay, well, you know, this is where the story takes place.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was just maybe because it was a little more serious of a story. There just wasn't much discussion on it.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
I was kind of, I don't know. I don't know if I just wasn't sure what else to add to
Mhm.
get them to talk, but I like it.
It's
And I
a
like
great
history
story.
and
Yeah,
all
and
that
it's
too,
a
so.
it's a pretty intense book too.
It is. It is. I think if I
Do you feel like your language was as good in this one as it was
No.
there? Okay.
No. And I think that that's probably part of it. And I think, from what I remember, I think I kind of maybe rushed through a little bit.
Okay.
Too
Yeah.
fast, but
What do you think in your change in language? How did that affect your students? How did that change the thinking in your classroom? Or what did you notice about your readers?
I mean, I think that it kind of allowed them to think more than they usually do.
Mhm.
I think usually because it's just kind of, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know, I think I tend to use the same type of language that they would use.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's just what they're used to, and it doesn't really change anything that they're doing. But by
Okay.
using the different language,
Yeah.
that kind of pushes them, without them knowing,
Right.
to go a little bit
Okay.
more.
What is something that they would use?
I think just kind of not going below the surface. Like, I think, I don't know. I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe she'll make a sweater for a cat or something,
Yeah.
which is fine, you know, but
Mhm.
as opposed to, like, maybe how the color changes or like,
Yes.
the meaning behind what they're doing.
Right. Right.
Or what they're thinking, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it
I don't
does.
think I'm making sense.
No, but even when, I mean, they were running that line of thinking of it being magic and it being
Right.
like her being potentially a witch.
Mhm. Yes. That was,
Yeah,
I
like
was not
it was-
expecting that.
Yeah. Why do you think, like, going back, in her saying that, why do you think she thought she was a witch?
Again, I don't know if it had anything to do with me asking. I didn't ask about the magic,
Right,
but it was
right.
just there.
Yes.
But I think that was just kind of almost the building off of who the people that said magic, but in their own way. I don't know. I didn't think witch, so I don't know why. I'm trying to remember.
No,
The conversation.
I don't know, but it was
like
an
what would have
interesting.
brought up witch.
Yes.
And I don't remember what she said
Yeah.
when or even if I asked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but I liked it.
Yeah, I did too. And that might be one, if you have that, how do you explore that? Like, tell
Right.
me more about why.
Right.
Is there something in here that showed
Right.
you that, or
Yeah.
because it was an
That's a
interesting
good way
line
to
of
ask.
thinking.
I need to add that. Is there something in here that showed you that?
Yeah,
Rather than, well, why do you think that?
right.
You know,
That
be
could
more
be.
specific. Like, go back in your story.
Yeah, and that's kind of